Hey everyone, Anti-Beta1M here and welcome to my channel. Minimalism is something that I like to do because I find it a challenge. I like ironies and I like intellectual challenges. So that's why, one of the main reasons why I am a minimalist. We live in a capitalist culture where everything is about buying and consuming. New products, new sales, 50% off, 70% off, all sorts of enticements, fast fashion, fast food, clothes, items to buy, too many things, and it's all wasteful and polluting. All these things contribute to the degradation of the earth. Now, it's not I think that as a human, we need to be aware that we are not completely, you know, we there are some things that we have to allow ourselves to succumb to, some temptations. We're living a long time on this planet, and sometimes when we buy something, we feel very pleasured. But when we lose that pleasure and when we become greedy for anything, it's very undesirable. Consumerism is culture. Consumerism is the culture of capitalism. Capitalism, which requires economic growth, requires ongoing sales and ongoing consumption of its products, which is why I am somewhat mostly an enemy to capitalism. I regard myself as being two-thirds socialist, with good reason. I guess, so minimalism, as I said, I guess I'm making it a little bit of an intellectual exercise for myself over the next 40 and more years of my life to see whether I can stick to my um, psyche and remain minimalist. Because we're so tempted to spend on things, travel and holidays and bargains and consumer purchases. But I also want to avoid a culture where I'm going to beat myself up if I do something wrong with myself. Like, I don't want to oppress my feelings about anything. So I'm not obligating myself to stick with anything. But I am trying very hard to be kind to resources that we have, fragile planet that we have. I attributed a lot of my minimalist strength to my father when I was growing up, because he would always insist on not buying things and saving money and so on, which was which was in many ways a double-edged sword, because I suffered a lot of neglect in my teenage years, being literally given $1 a day to spend on whatever I wanted. It wasn't enough for me. But I learned a lot from that mindset. I learned to be disciplined and determined, not to have extreme carbon costs to the earth. So if I didn't mention it before, culture is a very strong influence. We're influenced by each other. We're influenced by what goes on around us in our cities. When we walk about in the city or we see things that we like, we're not in nature all the time, or we're even with nature. Nature is itself a privilege now. Being exposed to nature in many ways is a privilege. So, as I mentioned, when we're walking about the city, we see all these things which we can buy with our money. And I think that making consumer purchases has become very much a substitute for real relationships with other people and doing things which make us genuinely happy, such as having a hobby, such as doing music, which I love so much, or writing poetry or something like that, which is so important to our psyches and our spirituality. So don't be misled by the consumerist vibe or consumerist trend or culture, as I say. Don't be flounced by the thinking that buying luxurious goods is going to make you a happier person compared to doing things which make you a much better person, innately better. Your character is so important. Your personality, your kindness, all these things are much more important than what you own in your house, and how big your house is, and especially how many children you have. These things, children do not matter to us. What's so important is that we are alive and that we are happy within ourselves in an economical fashion. So, just qualifications. I was considering, without committing to buying a piano, a digital piano. I was thinking about that for my apartment. I was also thinking about buying an e-bike or a normal bike, because biking is a very efficient way of transport. It's as good or better than public transport, and it's as good as walking, and sometimes more convenient as well. So I was thinking about buying these things, but I'm not committing myself yet. So I'll let you know in the future if I decide to buy those things for myself. But I obviously lost a lot of money in the stock market crash recently, so not really intent on spending how much I've got left on things, but I will see what happens. Okay, folks, that's all from me, Antipeter1M, and I will see you next time in another video. Bye for now.